My name is Nuh, and this is my story, a narrative of faith, trial, and perseverance. Since time immemorial, my life has been a reflection of Allah's mercy and guidance. I was born in an era where humanity had strayed from the righteous path, plunging into sins and idolatries. The people of my time were lost, worshipping false gods and forgetting the one Creator, Allah. My heart always felt restless in the face of such deviation. Night after night, I delved into deep meditations, seeking answers, longing for a truth beyond what my eyes saw. It was on one of those nights, under the vast starry mantle, that Allah communicated with me. His voice was like a gentle breeze, but it carried the strength of certainty. He revealed to me that I was His chosen one, a messenger destined to guide my people back to the path of truth. From that moment, my days and nights were transformed. Allah had entrusted me with a monumental task: to warn my people about sin and iniquity, to urge them to abandon their false idols, and return to the worship of the only true God. I knew it would not be easy, but with Allah's help, I was willing to face any challenge. With the dawn, I began my mission. My words sought to be a beacon of light in the darkness of ignorance. O my people, I exclaimed, worship Allah, fear Him, and obey. There is no God but Him. If you persist in your wickedness, fear a punishment that will not only fall upon you, but also upon future generations. But my message was not received with the openness I had hoped for. Each warning, each call to faith, was met with mockery and rejection. My own words became like lost echoes in the void of closed hearts. However, I did not get discouraged. Each refusal, each scorn, only increased my determination. I knew my task was divine, and I would not rest until I fulfilled it. My story is a journey through unwavering faith, challenges that seemed insurmountable, and the eternal mercy of Allah. Join me in this tale, where every word seeks to be a reflection of divine teachings, a story that crosses time to reach your hearts. In the dawn of my mission, the streets and squares of my town became the stages of my tireless preaching. With fervor and conviction, I transmitted the message of Tawhid, the belief in the uniqueness of Allah, and the necessity of a moral and just life. My words sought to awaken dormant souls, inviting them to reflect on the transcendence and eternal truth of Allah. O my people, I cried out day after day, abandon your lifeless idols. There is no power or strength except in Allah, the Most High, great Creator. Your salvation lies in adhering to His word and renouncing your sinful practices. However, each attempt at guidance was met with disdain. The leaders of the people, clinging to their customs and power, saw in my words a threat to their authority and status. Nah, they exclaimed sarcastically, have you gone mad with your fantasies? How can you ask us to abandon the gods our ancestors worshipped? Your words are nothing but the delusions of a deranged man. The disbelief of my people was like an impenetrable wall, and each rejection was a blow to my heart, but not to my faith. Nevertheless, not everyone closed their hearts to my message. A small group, those whose hearts still held a glimmer of light, began to follow me. They were the humble, the dispossessed, those who had nothing to lose by embracing the truth. Together we formed a community of believers, united in faith and hope for a future guided by the light of Allah. As the years went by, my mission became increasingly arduous. The resistance of my people intensified, and with it, the tests of my patience and faith. But my trust in Allah never wavered. No matter how many times I was rejected, mocked, or ignored, I persisted. Allah is patient and merciful, I reminded myself, and so must I be, His servant and messenger. In the midst of this tireless struggle, my family became my refuge and strength. My wife, always understanding and supportive, and my children, faithful followers of the word of Allah, were my pillars in moments of doubt and discouragement. Together, we clung to faith, knowing that each difficulty faced was one more step towards divine grace. But the resistance of my people was not just verbal. Over time, their actions turned hostile. Meetings of the believers were disrupted. We were denied access to public places, and we were constantly slandered. Patience and faith were tested every day, but we knew that our struggle was not in vain. Allah, in His infinite wisdom, had a plan for us, and we were willing to follow it, regardless of the obstacles. Years of preaching turned into decades, and my hair, once as dark as the night, turned white as the moon. But my determination never aged. I continued to be a beacon of faith, a tireless defender of the truth. As long as there is breath in my body, I promised, I will continue to spread the word of Allah. And then, when it seemed that the resistance of my people had no end, when despair began to loom in the hearts of some of my followers, Allah revealed to me a new mandate, a turn in my mission that would mark a before and after in the history of humanity. There came a time in my life when the trials seemed insurmountable and despair loomed over us. It was then that Allah, in His infinite wisdom and mercy, revealed to me a new purpose. One night, as I prayed in the solitude of my home, a divine revelation illuminated my heart. Allah spoke to me with a voice that soothed my troubled soul, telling me to build an ark. It was a command that defied all human logic, but in it, I found new hope and firm determination. Allah has ordered me to build an ark. I announced to my family and the believers, it is a refuge for us to save us from the punishment that awaits those who have rejected the truth. My followers, though surprised, did not doubt my word. Their faith in Allah and His messenger was unshakable. With Allah's help, I began the construction of the ark. It was a colossal task, a challenge that went beyond my human abilities, but I was guided by divinity. Each plank, each nail, was placed with prayer and faith that it was part of a divine plan. The ark was large, capable of housing the believers, and pairs of every animal species, as Allah had instructed me. Meanwhile, the disbelief of my people reached new heights. Look at Nuh, they mocked, building a boat on dry land. Has he lost his mind? But their mockery did not deter me. My faith in Allah was stronger than any ridicule or contempt. I knew that every hammer strike, every plank placed, was a step towards the salvation promised by Allah. As the ark took shape, so did the faith of the believers. They saw in this gigantic structure not only the promise of salvation, but also a tangible proof of Allah's mercy. Together, we worked under the scorching sun and the bright stars, united in a purpose that went beyond our own existence. With each passing day, my heart filled with gratitude towards Allah. He had chosen me, one man among many, to carry out His divine mandate. And although the task was arduous, every moment of fatigue was alleviated by the certainty that we were following the will of Allah. Finally, after years of relentless labor, the ark was completed. It was a monument to faith and perseverance, a structure that defied logic, but was a clear testament to divine intervention. The time is near. I announced to the believers, let us prepare to board the ark, for divine punishment is imminent. Those who had ridiculed my endeavor began to feel a nascent fear. The magnitude of the ark and our unwavering faith began to sow doubts in their hearts. However, their pride and disbelief prevented them from accepting the truth that was manifesting before their eyes. With the ark ready, we prepared for what was to come. Our hearts were filled with fear, but also with deep peace, knowing that we were in the hands of Allah. Faith in His plan and in His protection was our greatest strength on the threshold of the events that would change the history of humanity. The time of the Great Flood was approaching, an event predestined by Allah to purify the earth of iniquity. In the air, there was a tension, a calm before the storm that was about to unfold. With faith and determination, we guided the believers and pairs of each animal species inside the ark, as Allah had commanded. The ark, once an object of mockery, was now our refuge, our only hope against the imminent devastation. The sky, once a canopy of stars, turned dark, heavy with threatening clouds. The first drops of rain fell softly, like a harbinger of what was to come. Soon, the rain intensified, turning into a relentless deluge. The waters began to rise, engulfing houses, trees, and everything in their path. It was a terrifying spectacle, but inside the ark, we were safe, protected by Allah's grace. For 40 days and 40 nights, the waters of heaven and earth joined in a destructive embrace. The world we once knew disappeared under the relentless waves. Inside the ark, life continued. The animals, and we, the believers, shared this space, united by faith and trust in Allah. It was a time for prayer and reflection, to understand the magnitude of Allah's power and His mercy towards those who maintain their faith. My days and nights were imbued with prayers and supplications. O Allah, protect us, guide us, and forgive those who have lost themselves in the darkness of disbelief. I prayed, while the waters roared outside the ark. Each moment in the ark was a testimony to Allah's omnipotence, a living lesson in faith and submission to His will. The experience in the ark was also a time of bonding and learning. We coexisted in harmony, humans and animals, each respecting the other's space and existence. It was a microcosm of what Allah desired for His creation: peace, harmony, and a coexistence based on mutual respect and worship of Him. As the days passed, hope grew in our hearts. We knew that, although the outside world was being purified by the flood, we had been chosen to be the bearers of a new beginning, a new opportunity for humanity to live in obedience and gratitude to Allah. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the rain ceased. The sun began to peek through the scattered clouds, and the waters started to recede slowly. The flood had ended, but we knew that the world we would find outside would be very different from the one we had left. The flood had ceased, and the waters that once covered the earth began to recede. The ark, this divinely ordered refuge, settled gently upon solid ground. The first rays of sun piercing through the clouds illuminated a transformed world, a blank canvas for a new creation. With hearts full of gratitude and hope, we opened the doors of the ark. The sunlight, a gift from Allah, touched our faces, and with it came the promise of a new beginning. We descended from the ark, not as the same beings who had entered, but as the chosen, the survivors of an old world, tasked with building a new one under the guidance and blessing of Allah. The animals, our companions during the journey, dispersed across the land, bringing life to every corner. Watching them was a reminder of the magnificence of Allah's creation and of our duty to be responsible custodians of it. My feet touched the damp earth, and in that moment, I felt a deep connection with Allah's creation. This is a new opportunity, I thought, a gift from Allah to start anew, to live according to His teachings and will. I looked up to the heavens, offering a prayer of thanks. O Allah, You have saved us and given us a new opportunity. Guide us on this new path and help us to be faithful to Your word. The world around us was silent, a silence full of possibilities and hope. Each of us, the believers who had survived, knew we had a sacred responsibility. It was our duty to repopulate the earth, live a life of righteousness and worship, and pass these teachings on to future generations. In the days and weeks that followed, we began to rebuild our lives. Every action was an act of worship, every decision made with the awareness of being in Allah's presence. We built homes, planted seeds, and laid the foundations of a community based on the principles of faith, justice, and compassion. As the land began to flourish again, so did our faith. The trial of the flood had strengthened us. We had been purified and uplifted by our obedience and trust in Allah. We knew that our survival was not just a matter of luck, but a sign of Allah's mercy and plan for us. Over time, the story of the flood and our salvation became a central narrative in our community. It was a story we told our children, and they to theirs, an eternal lesson on the importance of faith, patience, and obedience to Allah. Our new world was a testament to Allah's power, a living proof that even in the darkest moments, His light guides the faithful towards salvation. The experience of the flood and survival aboard the ark left me, and the believers, with a legacy of profound teachings. These lessons were not just tales of a distant past, but living guides for our lives, and for the generations to come. The story of our trial and salvation became a narrative of faith, hope, and obedience to Allah. The most fundamental lesson was the importance of unwavering faith in Allah. In the darkest moments, when all seemed lost, our faith was the beacon that guided us through the storms. We learned that true faith is not just believing when it's easy, but maintaining that belief even in the most overwhelming adversity. This faith led us to salvation and became the foundation of our new life. Another crucial teaching was patience and perseverance. Throughout the years of preaching and the challenges faced, patience was my constant companion. Through patience, I demonstrated my submission and trust in Allah's plan, knowing that each challenge was part of a greater purpose. This patience was not a passive resignation, but an active trust in Allah, a certainty that, in the end, everything would be all right. The legacy of the Ark and the flood also emphasized the importance of obedience to Allah. The order to build an ark in a world without water seemed illogical to the human mind, but it was divine wisdom guiding this mandate. Obedience to this command was what saved us. We learned that obedience to Allah does not always align with human logic, but always leads to the best of conclusions. This event also reaffirmed the mercy and justice of Allah. Although the flood was a punishment for those who refused to listen and believe, it was also a manifestation of Allah's mercy to the believers. It taught us that Allah is just and that there are consequences for actions, but also that His mercy is always present for those who seek His forgiveness and guidance. Respect for all of Allah's creation was another vital lesson. On the Ark, we coexisted in harmony with the animals, caring for each other. This coexistence taught us the value and importance of each creature in the divine plan, and our duty as custodians of the earth. Lastly, the legacy of our experience was a call to humility. Despite being chosen by Allah, I never let pride cloud my judgment or actions. Humility before Allah and His creation was a principle that guided my life, and that I imparted to my followers. It reminded us that, no matter our role in Allah's plan, we are always His servants, dependent on His grace and mercy. These teachings became the pillars of our community and of future generations. My story, as a messenger of Allah, is not just a tale of the past, but an eternal guide, a constant reminder of the importance of living a life of faith, patience, obedience, mercy, respect, and humility before Allah. My name is Na, and this is my story, a narrative of faith, perseverance, and salvation. Throughout my life, I faced unimaginable challenges and witnessed the magnificence of Allah. My story, recorded in the pages of history and in the hearts of believers, is a testament to the mercy and power of Allah. As my life drew to a close, I reflected on the journey I had traveled. From my early days as a restless man seeking answers, to becoming a messenger of Allah, each step was imbued with learning and divine revelations. My story is not just a tale of the past, but a living lesson for all generations. The importance of my narrative today is undeniable. In a world where faith is often challenged, where patience and obedience are rare virtues, my story resonates with a clear and powerful message. It reminds us of the importance of maintaining faith in Allah, even when everything seems uncertain. It teaches us that the true test of faith is not found in ease, but in adversity. My story is also an invitation to reflection and introspection. It is a call to look within ourselves, to evaluate our beliefs and actions, and to align our lives with the commands of Allah. It is a reminder that regardless of the challenges we face, Allah's guidance and mercy are always present for those who seek His path. To those who hear my story today, I say, let these ancient tales illuminate your path. Find in them the inspiration to live a life of faith and righteousness. Know that every trial is an opportunity to strengthen your relationship with Allah, and that every act of obedience and patience is a step towards salvation. May my story be a reminder that Allah is always just, merciful, and compassionate. May it inspire you to be guardians of the earth, respectful of all His creation, and to live with humility and gratitude. The story of my life, my mission, and my survival is an eternal legacy, a beacon of hope and guidance in a world constantly seeking meaning and direction. My name is Nuh, and though my time in this world is past, my story and its teachings endure. May they be a source of light and guidance for all of you, and may Allah bless and guide your paths.